the shittiest of takes by one Ben Shabibo. Here we go. The new definition of beauty?
There is a new swimsuit 2022 cover model. So every year now, Sports Illustrated has its SI swimsuit edition. And they usually have multiple cover models. And one is sort of the woke cover model. So they'll have like a couple of actual models, and then they'll have like a transgender woman, like a biological male who has had a boob job and a bunch of surgeries and looks a lot like a female. That's what they did last year. This year, they went woke in a different way. They decided that they were going to put a rather large woman on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Her name is Yumi Nu, and she is, quote, shaking over the SI swimsuit cover reveal. According to the New York Post, last week, model Yumi Nu visited her agent for what she thought was a routine interview and career check-in. While she was answering questions earnestly, my agents were in on this little plan, the 25-year-old told the Post. Midway through the interview, Sports Illustrated swimsuit honcho MJ Day and other staffers from the bikini...
So I just want to pause right here. Why is Ben Shapiro lit so darkly? Like, he literally looks like like, if someone were to try and make Ben Shapiro look like a villain with lighting, this is how you would do it. This is how you would do it.
Bible popped out with a camera crew as the cover of this year's magazine featuring Nu filled a nearby monitor. I was processing the surprise of it not being a real interview, and this was actually the SI cover reveal. I could not speak. I had full body chills. I was shaking. I was crying. They really got me good. So she is a plus-sized model. And by plus-sized model, we mean that she is somewhat heavy. And she's not like morbidly obese, but she is also not skinny or in shape. I mean, this is a person who should, for health reasons, drop some weight. And that's just the reality of the situation, because being overweight exacerbates nearly every health problem you have. Unclear what her BMI is, so I would hesitate to estimate her BMI here, but suffice it to say that this is a person who could drop at least 20 pounds. And that's not an insult, that's just a reality. Okay, if you had a relative who looked like this, you would think that person probably needed to drop a little bit of weight, and presume there's a young, healthy 25-year-old woman. There is no reason why she couldn't drop a little bit of weight if she wanted to. But the idea here is to redefine beauty, of course. And this is what the left is all about these days, what Sports Illustrated is doing. And the idea here is that if you mention this, if you notice it, it's bad. So this is the stupid game that the left loves to play. Stupid game. What they...
Look, Ben Shapiro being upset that, like, a woman is hot is very weird, right? Like, right? Literally one of the most popular body types is the plus size body type. That is one of the most sexually desirable body types in our society. It just is. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be attracted to plus-sized people or, like, whatever. You know, you don't have to do anything. This is goddamn America. But also, like, it just is a fact that is one of the most popular body types. Like, if you ask, like, I would say a good 60%, 60 to 70% of men what kind of body types they like, a lot of them will say, I like them with a little bit of meat on their bones, okay? A lot of them will say that. They like a big fat ass, okay? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all, okay? Is he ranting about that magazine? Yes, he is. I don't know, I don't think he's shown it yet. This is the cover that he's talking about. Oh my god, they're destroying Western beauty standards. Oh my god! This is what peak performance looks like, okay? This is what peak performance looks like, folks. Yeah, she's hot as hell. She's hot as hell. I'm cool with this. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like her face is absolutely gorgeous. Her figure is gorgeous. Like, yeah, she thick. She caked up. Hell yeah. Okay. I live in Michigan. I want a girl that can keep me warm at night. Yeah. Um. Yeah, conventionally attractive woman with an average body type. Exactly, right? Oh no. Like, oh no, chat. She's hot. Ben Shapiro also doesn't know much about women or sexuality. Um, and we know this because he brags about it pretty regularly. He makes no secret about how he is and what he and his wife talk about. Here is a tweet from 2 years ago when Ben Shapiro got on his high horse about the song WAP, aka Wet Ass Pussy. Okay? Ben Shapiro had to go and ask his wife about wet pussy. And she said that women with wet pussies are suffering from bacterial vaginosis, yeast infection, or trichomonas. Trichomonas? I don't know how to say that. I ain't the doctor, but I gotta tell you guys. Also, I'll just read it out loud. As I discussed on the show, my only real concern is that women involved, who apparently require a bucket and a mop, get the medical care they require. My doctor wife's differential diagnosis, bacterial vaginosis, yeast infection, or trichomoniasis. Heh. If your girl ain't wet, you're doing it wrong. If your girl ain't wet, you're doing it wrong. Okay? Now, maybe she doesn't naturally get that wet, but then you gotta use the lube. If you ain't using the lube, that's gonna be painful shit. Okay? The vagina is supposed to get wet for the purposes of sex. That it gets wet when aroused. You know? It's like a slip and slide. If the slip and slide were self-lubricating when aroused. Fuck. Oh god. It's but like the amount I'm sorry. First of all, Ben Shapiro not knowing that a pussy's supposed to get wet is very funny on its own, but his wife, who's a doctor, as he's very keen on telling everybody, his doctor wife then having to lie to him to make him feel better is very funny. It's incredibly funny. When your wife, who's clearly not satisfied with the sex she's having, has to be like, women who get wet are actually they're sick. You're not supposed to get wet. Like that. You mean his doctor wife? Oh, I'm sorry. I said doctor. I said wife who is a doctor. I meant doctor wife. Yeah, Ben Shapiro's wife probably needs poppers to have sex with him. Goodness. Is she related to Dr. Girlfriend? Yeah, her last name is Wife. Her maiden name was Wife. That's why she's called Dr. Wife now. That Dr. Wife sounds like a failed NBC pilot that got one episode in and then was canceled immediately. Is her first name my wife? No, it's you're gonna think I'm making this up. Her first name is Moore. Her first name is Moore. Moore wife. Dr. Moore wife. Yeah, M-O-R. Moore. Yeah, Moore Shapiro. Oh god. Anyway, let's listen to the rest of Ben Shapiro's take with this in mind.
They do is they do something that is deliberately shocking and provocative. Then when you comment on it, say, how dare you even notice? How dare you even notice? So the goal here is to change the standards of beauty. It's in the eye of
No, Ben, the goal here is to sell a fucking magazine in the year of our Lord 2022. Have you noticed the print industry, Ben? Have you noticed the state of the print industry? Who fucking sells magazines anymore, Ben?
It's completely subjective. It is not that there
But also beauty standards are subjective, yes.
are many studies demonstrating that facial symmetry is a general indicator of beauty in virtually all cultures, or that there's a hip to waist ratio.
It's true. Everyone, generally speaking, has a hip and a waist and a ratio between them. Unfortunately, Ben Shapiro has never been between a hip and a waist, so he doesn't know what that ratio looks like.
That is widely admired across cultures, or that there is even such a thing as sexual attractiveness more generally, which provides...
By the way, I love the idea that when Ben Shapiro met his wife, he had to, measure her hip to waist ratio. Excuse me, I need to see if you are an acceptable level of attractiveness. Is your face symmetrical enough? I don't know. I don't know. Let me hold a mirror up to one side of your face so I can look and see if it actually is symmetrical. Now, do you have an acceptable BMI? Okay? If you don't, I can't be attracted to you.
That's a very weird...
Yeah, literally walking up to her being like, hey girl, let me see your teeth. What the fuck? By the way, this is a deranged way to think about beauty. Right? If you think about being attracted to people in the way that Ben Shapiro is, you are mentally ill in a way that isn't like a cool thing. You're mentally ill in a way you need to go to therapy and sort your issues out. Okay? You shouldn't be thinking of other people this way. What's healthy is just being attracted to who you're attracted to. And if you're not attracted to someone, you don't need to shit on them for how they look. Unless they're pieces of shit like Ben Shapiro. In which case, it's fine.
Sort of thing for Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, because if there's no such thing as sexual attraction generally, then why have a swimsuit edition?
Wait, what? There's no such thing as sexual attraction?
Ratio that is widely admired across cultures, or that there is even such a thing as sexual attractiveness more generally, which provides a very weird sort of thing for Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, because if there's no such thing as sexual attraction generally.
Nope. Wow, Ben Shapiro has become extremely adept at constructing these straw men. No one is saying sexual attractiveness doesn't exist. Just that what different people are attracted to is different because they're different people.
Then why have a swimsuit edition? But the notion is, of course, that we should pretend that...
Also, Ben, some people are sexually attracted to fully clothed people. People can be sexually attracted to people in skimpy clothes, people fully clothed, and then there are people who can be sexually attracted to, someone fully encased in a latex bed. These are things that people can and do on the regular. The idea, someone might look at someone encased in a latex bed and be like, I'm really not into that. And someone might look at someone in a swimsuit and be like, I they're fine. But it could be the same person. It just depends. People are into different things. Yeah, Myria Rend, it's a whole thing. Like, people like getting like encased in latex and like vacuum sealed into latex beds. It's a thing. If you're gonna do it, be very careful so you don't suffocate, okay?
Logical attractiveness does not exist, or that it is all culturally defined. And that if you don't find Yumi Nu as sexy as Brooklyn Decker, then that is because...
Who's Brooklyn Decker? This was the first result for Brooklyn Decker for me. She having a rough one, folks. I mean, I get, like, she's also very attractive in like other pictures that I've seen, but like, yeah, let's not pretend, by the way, that like beauty and beauty standards are highly dependent on things like lighting, framing, camera angle, like all kinds of other things. You know, like, people can look like absolute dog shit even if they are considered like conventionally attractive. All right. Also depends on makeup and shit. Like, that's fine. But like, yeah, someone might not be into like a super skinny model type. And that's fine too.
Because you are...
But notice one thing, right? Notice that, like, oh, here's Brooklyn Decker on Sports Illustrated. Okay. Notice one thing, right? When Brooklyn Decker poses on the front of Sports Illustrated, people aren't climbing out of the woodwork to tell her she looks ugly as shit. You know? When an equally attractive but like differently built woman poses on the front of Sports Illustrated, people do crawl out of the woodwork to tell her she looks like shit. And then people like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro does this thing, and a lot of conservatives do this too, where they're like, look, I'm only saying she looks like shit because I actually really care about her physical well-being, and I just want her to be a healthy weight. And it's just like, bitch, you're not her doctor. You're not her doctor. Get the fuck out of here. You don't know what her healthy weight is. You don't know what her health is. You don't know her health record. Get the fuck out of here. Like, so many people... By the way, I have done the modeling. I have done some modeling. I know models in the modeling industry. And I can tell you that if people are so concerned over the BMI of different models who are posing in advertisements on a daily basis, then you should be concerned anytime you see a model who is extremely thin, because those models very rarely have healthy BMIs. Those models are typically extremely vulnerable to things like anorexia or bulimia. They have extremely disordered eating. They have a lot of body image issues because their body is literally their career. And so you have people having mental breakdowns because all they've been able to eat for the past week is celery. Like, the idea that like conservatives are just interested in maintaining the health of like someone with a high BMI in the modeling industry is just bullshit. They have no interest. It's just a cover for their for them expressing horrific misogynistic sentiments publicly. That's it. Conservatives just want to be horrible, awful shits in public. That's all they want to do. They want to be essentially evil, but they don't have the stomach to actually come out and say it without providing cover for themselves. You know, this is why racists have to be like, yeah, I mean, black people, they make up 13% of the population, but they commit 50% of the crime, like violent crimes. Therefore, I mean, why do they do that? I don't know, but I'm not being racist. I'm just saying I don't want them in my store. Like they have to have cover for their racism. There's a reason why when you ask very deeply racist conservatives, they'll be the first ones to tell you, I'm not racist, but... Very knifey duck. It's not parasocial because they genuinely don't care about the health of the model. No, I guarantee you, until Yumi Nu posed on the front of Sports Illustrated, 99.9% of conservatives had no idea who the fuck she was. And yes, even if they did care, it would still be weird. But anyway.
In some way. You are a bigot in some way. And that's the reason they do this. Why else would they do it?
To sell more magazines. That's it. That's why they do it. Magazines go for shock factor, Ben. They go for shock and novelty, because that's the only thing that sells them anymore.
I'm just guaranteeing you that if a dude has a choice between buying two magazines, one with Yumi Nu on the cover and one with Brooklyn Decker on the cover, that's not a question as to which magazine sells faster. Everyone knows this. The entire advertising industry is built on this. All of Hollywood is built on this. Why do you think Hollywood casts astonishingly good-looking people? What's also...
Hey, Ben. What was astonishingly good-looking in the 1950s Hollywood is different than what is astonishingly attractive in current-day Hollywood. Because beauty standards fucking change, you dumb fuck. Back in, like, the 1950s, the guy who played Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird was considered, like, one of the hottest people ever, okay? Today, he'd be considered, like, a weak-ass little soy boy, alright? He'd be like, it'd be like looking at, like, pre-super serum, Captain America. That to like modern day Captain America. That's like the dichotomy here between like the standards for men. All right? Yeah, Gregory Peck. And Gregory Peck was an attractive man. But the idea that beauty standards have stayed consistent is just not true. Women in the 1950s were allowed to have a lot of different body types in films. As long as they were white. If you were African American in the 1950s of Hollywood, you would not get a leading part. You would not get a leading role. You would not be considered beautiful regardless of whatever body type you had, because that was the beauty standards being pushed by wider society in the 1950s. And it's not because African American women weren't beautiful, it's because beauty standards are heavily influenced by colonial and white supremacist ideology. And it's been something that the beauty industry has struggled to overcome for a very long time. You can even see this in how colonized areas had their beauty standards change over time in their art and in their different depictions of men and women. Yeah. People bleaching their skin, etc.
So hilarious about sort of the way that the beauty media work here is I have to compare contrast here. So you have Yumi Nu, who is overweight, on the cover of the SI Swim. And if you mention this, it's bad. The entire purpose for putting this person on the cover is because she is overweight. But if you mention she's overweight, this means that you're bad. You're not supposed to notice. Stop noticing. Okay, so they'll put Yumi Nu on this cover. Then you'll also have Hilary Duff, who is on the cover of Women's Health. Now, Hilary Duff looks like a sort of stereotypical model beauty. Okay, she's on the cover of Women's Health magazine, totally nude. And she looks like a model, right? I mean, there's not an ounce of fat on her. She looks like what you would imagine.
She's also incredibly wealthy, so that might play some role in how she can get in shape and look that good for a photo shoot.
an airbrushed, beautiful person to look like. And the headline is, it's time to redefine strength, growth, power, and presence. Hillary Duff on her terms. And Women's Health magazine said, Hillary Duff spent years trying to live up to Hollywood's standards. Now, as she poses for the May cover of Women's Health Body Reflections, she's approaching her life and career on her own terms. She says, I'm proud of my body. I'm proud it's produced 3 children for me. I've gotten to a place of being peaceful.
Holy shit, Hillary Duff has had 3 kids? Jesus.
With the changes my body has gone through. The pictures of her are immaculate. I mean, honest to God, these pictures are like,
she does look
first of all,
good.
you used to have to actually buy a Playboy in order to get these sorts of pictures. Now it's just on the cover.
Ben! Remain faithful to your wife, Ben!
Of Women's Health, because women's empowerment and all of this. But beyond that, on the one hand, the idea...
Oh no, she's fucking a tree. Never mind, she's canceled.
Is that Hillary Duff is violating traditional standards of beauty. Not true. On the other hand, the idea is that Yumi Nu is not violating traditional...
Wait. Hillary Duff is Do I need to look up Hillary Duff interview? I don't believe that Ben is portraying this Hillary Duff interview accurately. Interview 2022 news. Yeah, okay, Women's Health 1 week ago. Here we go. Okay. Now she's, let's see, the actress spent years trying to live up to Hollywood standards. Now she's focused on what makes her happy, and whole and content on the inside. I have an idea, says Hillary Duff's 3-year-old daughter, Banks, her finger tapping her mouth. Can I have a treat? The child tilts her blonde head to one side as her mother looks upon her with amusement. Did you have any vegetables for lunch? Hillary asks. Banks says yes, though her mother suspects otherwise. But who can deny a little indulgence in the face of such ingenuity? Banks scampers out of view on Zoom, and Hillary, left alone in her bright and airy bedroom, shakes her head affectionately. 34 years old, she's the mother of 3 children. Besides Banks, she has her son Luca. Okay, I'm gonna continue going over this. Let's see. This is the house where she recovered from her 2016 divorce. She learned to parent Luca as a single mom. She got married on her own front lawn. Let's see. Oh, she's on How I Met Your Father? It's a show I haven't watched. Let's see. When asked when it was when she finally got to that calm place with her body, she pauses to consider. Perhaps after having Banks, she says, I didn't even know if I was going to have the opportunity to have another child after the divorce, so being a mom again, maybe, is a whole mix of things, of being settled and realizing I'm powerful and talented and smart, all mental things. Recently she got a new tattoo, a delicate etching of the word mother on her neck, to complement the sailor-style tattoos of roses and swallows on her arms. Let's see. I'm proud of my body. I'm proud that it produced 3 children for me. I've gotten to a place of being peaceful with the changes my body has gone through. Also want people to know a makeup artist was there putting glow all over my body, and someone put me in the most flattering position. Let's see. In the months leading up to the Women's Health shoot, Hillary started working with a new trainer. She'd work out for hour-long workouts 4 days a week. Okay. Yeah, so this article isn't at all that, like... Oh my god. Okay, Ben Shapiro. I just realized what happened, okay? Ben Shapiro, looked at the cover of this Women's Health magazine, alright? Ben Shapiro looked at the cover of this Women's Health magazine and said the body issue. It's time to redefine strength, growth, power, and presence, rather. He looked at that and was like, ah, yes, obviously that means that we need to redefine we're redefining beauty. That this article is talking about how Hillary Duff is not conventionally attractive. And that's not what the article's about. The article's about Hillary Duff's like mental and personal life journey. It's about how she's doing on the inside. And yeah, also, we don't typically think about women who've had multiple children as being like, you know, the tightest and like most beautiful people. That's not something a lot of people think about necessarily. And it just seems like, yeah, to a degree, this does buck expectations and shows, you know, people who might be feeling down on their body because of having given birth that, like, yeah, you can still be desirable and wonderful and amazing and powerful. And that's not really all that controversial, I guess. Like, it's not something I would think necessarily. But, like, yeah, the article's mostly about the inside journey, and Ben Shapiro's like, obviously, this is about the outside journey. This is about her body. Because she's posing nude, so that must mean she's not conventionally attractive.
Standards of beauty, also not true. And the only reason that you can come up with is they would like to actually destroy the definition of beauty, as they've destroyed the definition of everything else. In the same way that the left pretends that all art is equivalent, and that Piss Christ is a piece of art the same way that the Mona Lisa is a piece of art, because art has no definition and it's all subjective interpretation, they're now doing this with things like beauty. So in a normal definition of beauty, Hillary Duff is a beautiful person, and Yumi Nu is not nearly as beautiful as Hillary Duff in any sort of normal, objective metric of beauty.
All right. So I really want Ben Shapiro. If Ben Shapiro is going to play this game, here's a question, Ben, that I would love for you to answer. All right? Is your wife conventionally attractive, Ben? Is your wife living up to the feminine beauty standards you are holding up other women to? Is your wife as beautiful as Yumi Nu? If you want to play this game, then play the game. You're talking about beauty standards that affect your wife, Ben. So apply them to all women, Ben. Go for it. It's an objective metric, right? It's an objective metric. So rank your wife against how these other women rank. You know? If it's an objective metric, then you can objectively say that your wife is objectively not as attractive as those two other women. But beauty isn't objective, and it never has been. And if you actually felt like this, Ben, I feel like you would be saying unimaginably cruel things to your wife on a regular basis. And as much as I think that Ben Shapiro is a little shit weasel, okay, I don't think he is abusive to his wife. All this goes to show is that he's full of shit when he's talking about beauty standards.
Computer, for example. But if you notice this is because you're bad and a bigot. So this is why Jordan Peterson was trending. Okay, it's because
that could just be an awkward photo. Of course it could. I'm just saying, like, even if it's not an awkward photo, take her best photo, compare it to those two models. If beauty standards are objective, how does your wife rank up against these other two women?
He tweeted out, sorry, not beautiful. And no amount of authoritarian tolerance is going to change that. People got very angry. How dare you say that, sir? The whole point of putting her on the cover is because you're trying to redefine beauty. That's literally what you're trying to do. And he's saying, I'm not going to let you redefine beauty to include people who are not traditionally beautiful. You want to say that she is unique looking? You want to say that she is beautiful to certain people, that certain people find this attractive? That's fine. But if you want...
Damn, Ben. You better get real practiced at saying that to your wife.
I want to say that this is like beautiful the same way that kind of traditional swimsuit models are beautiful. No, again, But the game the left loves to play is just gaslighting all the way down. A man.
I mean, Yumi Nu is a model. Like, she's not like an alternative model. She's just a model.
As a woman, they're like, no, that's not true. How dare you say that, sir? How dare you do that? That's bigotry. Beauty is defined as anybody up to and including Lizzo. And you're like, no, I don't think so. They're like, no. How dare you say that, sir? We're not doing it. You must be a bigot. It's also tiresome and childish and annoying. Who's got two thumbs and wants you to like and subscribe?
Yeah. Who on earth would find Lizzo hot as shit? Crazy. Me. Lizzo's hot as shit, guys. Yeah, what's beyond it? Like, I really want to see Ben Shapiro's like scale of hotness. I really want to see that, you know? Ben Shapiro never looks happy or kind or good. True. That's because he's never been any of those things. Yeah, exactly. Beauty standards aren't objective. At all. And pretty, like, demonstrably not objective. Ben Shabibo's patented scale of hotness, everyone. Does he have daughters? God, I hope not.